This is Mary at the.meri.atelier, and this is Friday night. Friday night, January the 10th. And it's time to do some art. Time to do some art. I have been having a little bit of trouble getting signed on lately. I had trouble this morning. I had a little bit of trouble tonight. I had to restart everything. Oh my. Well, I see some folks are coming in. Hi, Ann. Welcome, welcome, Ann. Hi, Giovanna. Hi, Mitzi. Hi, Terry. Welcome, everybody who's coming in. While folks are coming in, I'm going to go ahead and work in my angel book, the last pages. Actually, this page has already been done, but I think I did it more as a wash. I had another bottle of this that was running out at the time, and I was using the very bottom. So I'm going to redo this page, but I'm also going to do the very last. I checked all my pages today. They're all reverse collage in gold. Woo! So I'm going to do this one and dry it off, and then I'm going to come and do this, and we'll be all done with the gold reverse collage. And then I can start doing the stained glass portion of this, which I am really looking forward to. I am really, really looking forward to doing that. Welcome to everybody who's coming in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, Nina and Mitzi and Allie Kay and Giovanna and Ann. Welcome, everybody. We'll give folks a little bit of time to come in. I did stream this morning. I had a laugh at Dee Dee the other morning. She says, Mary, do you stream every morning? And you know, it turns out that it looks like I do, don't I? But I have some mornings that I don't stream. But if I'm up and doing my art, I might as well be streaming, right? And I really enjoy my morning streams. So, and did you all catch Barb Owen this afternoon? I was so looking forward to her stream. She did an art journal page. I'm so glad she's decided to stream again on Friday afternoons. Oops. What is that? Ew. What did I do? Move it up here? No, I got another one up here. Probably left over from my old paint because it was in the end of the bottle. I'm going to have paint underneath my fingernails there. Okay. Oops. Where's my chat? Hi, Rhonda. Mina's here. Mitzi's here. Hi, Lucia. Were you guys over in the other chat? I tried to delete that one, the one I started. Is that where you guys were? I tried to delete it, and I couldn't get it deleted. And I wanted to get this one started because I didn't want to be fooling with this too late. Miss Allie Kay says she's listening to me in headphones over her parents' movie. If I missed something, I'm sorry. I have to do that a lot. When Price is Right comes on or the Wheel of Fortune, I put my earbuds in and I'm listening in one ear to who won what and all the yowing going on, and then on the other ear I'm trying to listen to a video. This will take a little bit of time to dry because it's metallic, not too long, but I don't want to shut the page on it. but I want to go to the very back. You know, I have my landscape book, my lighthouse book to work in too. I'm not going to do that tonight, but I'm going to start working in it again. That's Beth Schuler's reverse collage project that she was doing. And I started doing the lighthouse ladies. And then the holidays came. So how's everybody doing? Why are you repainting? Oh, no, they didn't fade, Nina. These pages, I had another jar of this that was really empty, and I did a more, I was water to get paint out of it, and so it was more of a wash than an actual color. The color wasn't really bright. So I just wanted to add more color to it, more bright gold. It was the bottom of the barrel. I got another barrel. I think Annie D sent me another barrel. Bless her heart. I think that's pretty good if I put wax paper in here, which I'm just going to take that and flip it over here. And I'm going to the very back, the very, very back. And this is all I have left to do are these 2 pages. Woohoo! And then I can start doing the stained glass portion of it, which I am really looking forward to. So let's just get that gold down in here. And I'm not mixing this with water or anything. I'm just using it flat out of the jar. And when I do these big pages like this, it seems like it takes so much because I'm not painting out margins. I'm painting the entire page. And I put my other 2 glue brushes in Murphy's oil soap this afternoon, because I neglected to put them back in water. And they're stiff. So they're out on the back porch soaking in Murphy's oil soap. So I have a few things planned for tonight. I'm going to be getting my erasers that I carved for everybody over Christmas. Those will be, I'm going to be working on those this weekend to get those ready to mail next week. And then I will start carving again. That's my plan for everybody. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Janet, Joyce, Ruth. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Holly. Welcome. Hi, Sharon. Ruth Lamb, Mina, Joyce, Jabana, Lori. Which Lori is it? Sharon. Pink Girly. Hi, Pink Girly. Yeah, after I watched Barb Owens this afternoon, I was kind of wiped out, tired. So I took a little rest. And boy, I was planning what I was going to do tonight and doing fussy cutting. Before I knew it, it was 7:00. My brother's out for his prime rib dinner tonight. He takes my nephew for a birthday dinner every year. It's kind of their tradition. I'm not invited. Not invited. Oh, isn't that uncouth of them? They don't bother to invite me, so I don't go. I'm not invited. Well, it's Friday night, too. I probably wouldn't go anyway. Because it's Friday night and I'd rather be here with you guys. But I thought we were supposed to get a lot of snow today. We got sunshine. We got sunshine. So I'm thankful for that because I don't like it when my brother goes out at night when it's bad weather. I don't like that one bit. All right, so I'm going to let this side dry. And let's just go back over to this wax paper side and smish in some color over here to get it off of my brush. That's pretty good. I'm not going to worry about it too much. I want to show you what I have here. I got it at Hobby Lobby. My brother had a VA appointment, a doctor appointment at the VA. And so I asked if he would stop at Hobby Lobby because that's where our Hobby Lobby is in the same town. And I found these invitation cards, 10 of them, originally $10 for 49 cents. A minute, I have to check this. I put this on that cord. I don't like that because I like to see if it's still going. Sometimes when I put that book on that computer cord, I think I'm going to spend some time in here tomorrow and do some more cleaning and sorting. I'm getting there. But anyway, let's open these up because what I'm after, let's clean my hands because they've got all sorts of gold on them. Yeah. I should get out that other. I've got another. This one's getting empty, this handy white or hand sanitizer. Probably don't have all the gold off of them. But it's better. So these are wedding invitations or invitations. You are invited to a bridal shower. But look, I can take this frame off. Oh, look. Oh, it comes as a, oh, look, I just have to, oh, wow, this is cool. Look, I can just slide it out. Oh, look. This will be used in that book as the, maybe some of the stained glass edging there. I'm going to do some die cuts, but these will work too. And then, I can cut this part out. And I know I just have them right here. I don't even have to. Oh, these are perfect. Yay. Yay. So we'll be starting to work on these. They're just little die cuts. This is perfect. And then there's all these envelopes. I'm going to put these back in here. Yay. We don't need that. I can toss that. So, and then I've got some envelopes that I can use. And this I don't really need. Maybe I'll use that as scratch paper. And oh, look. Oh, my goodness. Look at these. These are kind of shiny silvery. Oh, those will make nice. Let's keep those with the envelopes. Nice tags or something. Ooh. I could almost turn one of these upside down and do a spray. Spray through it. They get kind of wet though. Maybe then they're too thick to ink through. I'll have to think about those. That was a cool buy for 50 cents. All right. I made a list. Angel book is done. Card recycle. I want to work in Tanya's. I was out to Tanya McGuire's This, That, and Chat Facebook group. And y'all are working on this page that Tanya worked on that was kind of a thin page. And I think she says after I think it's this one. This one's kind of thin too. But I think it's this one she worked on. It could be back in here. It could be back here. It could be this one. Then I'm going to work on this one. It says Neil Simon. So I'm going to work on that. And I have these stickers, and I think I got these in Happy Mail from, were these in what Lynn sent to me? Either Lynn or Nancy Gill sent these to me. I just opened them. They're saying hello to everybody. Cheryl, Deborah, Lucia, Deborah, hi. Deborah, hello again. Let's see. Hi. Hello. Hi, Molly. Welcome, Molly. Glad to have you in here and joining us. Deborah's here. Sharon Marlowe's in here. I'm kind of looking at my chat on the phone. Yeah, I was reading Holly's That Stinks, Mary. Yeah, when they go out, they don't think to invite me. They only invite me and then it's not an invitation per se. It's like your brother's coming so you can tag along at Christmas and Thanksgiving and birthday. That's all I get to go to, the birthday for my grandniece. But when they go out and eat, I'm not invited. They don't think to do it. I have to tell you, though, they're kind of, I'd like to say they're not raised right. They're just kind of not thoughtful. I don't think it's out of meanness. It's just they don't think to do it. They don't think that leaving Aunt Mary at home isn't polite. That's okay. One of these days when it gets nice, I'll run away. To, look, I can use that in my transparent art journal page. I'll run away to Lincoln, go to some good bookstores. So I thought what I would do, I was thinking about putting a dictionary page on this, but actually it kind of looks like it's not a dictionary. It's kind of like Neil Simon, it's more of a reference book type thing, maybe an encyclopedia type thing. So I think I want some transparent. I think I'll go for that gold again, or maybe the bronze. Maybe I should zoom in. Let's zoom in one here. Plus. Is that better? Let's see. No, they don't even give me a doggy bag, Rhonda. They don't even bring home a doggy bag for me. I'm worse than the doggies. They don't even think to do that. I asked my brother, I asked him when he gets home, what did you have? We had steak tonight. Oh, well, I had a hot dog. He just laughs. One night I bought a pizza, and of course I couldn't eat. It was a smaller pizza. It was a 10-inch pizza. And I couldn't eat the whole thing, so I left the leftover in the refrigerator, and I gave him instructions that was for my lunch the next day. I said, don't you pig that down. He got this funny face. I said, I bought that for me while you were out eating steak. Linda, Is that Linda Morrow that's in here? Let's see. Giovanna, Sharon, Ruth. Sometimes I don't see everybody that comes in because I'm looking. Let's look at it this way. I'm not complaining too much. Run away to New Jersey. I have an extra room. Wouldn't that be fun to run away to New Jersey? Hi, Mary, too. Mary Stu says, I'll come and get you, Mary. We can do a road trip. Get a bus and pick up fibs along the way. Wouldn't that be fun? You need to move into Fibsville. Yes, I do. Allie Kay says, oh, Lincoln. I was going to say run away to Wisconsin and we can get an apartment. Yeah. You know what, though? Miss Allie Kay, you might evict me for bringing in too much thrift store stuff. Oh, Mary, if I ever happen to be out by you, I will go out for prime rib, my treat. Aw. Mary, run away to Branson. That's probably the closest. Well, I don't know. Branson and Wisconsin are probably about the same distance away. I either go south or northeast. Heck, I'll go both places. No, I don't mean to complain about it. It hurts a little, but my brother's a good brother. They're just not thoughtful in that way. I just have to say they're just not thoughtful in that way. And that's kind of sad in a way. And I think it's kind of gone down to my nephew and my grandniece. And that kind of bothers me. But I'm the great aunt. They aren't going to listen to me. They're just, if I would say anything to them, I would just be complaining, bitching. So I'll pick my battle, I guess. I'll tell you guys about it. But I did run away once. I ran away to Lincoln once, and I didn't because he was invited to my ex-sister-in-law's birthday party, and I thought I was invited, but he wasn't so sure, and I wasn't sure, and so he went. He just got up and left. We didn't talk about it much. It was like, if I don't say anything to her, it won't cause a fuss or anything. So when he left, I went up to Lincoln. That was a couple years ago. I ran away to Lincoln, and I didn't tell him. And he beat me home that day, and I wasn't here. And he wondered what happened to me. I got home kind of late. And that's when I told him that. And he said, well, they wondered where you were. And I said, well, I wasn't invited. And he kind of admitted that it was kind of his fault. And then my nephew messaged me and said it was an implied invitation. So I don't know. Maybe all these invitations are still implied, but I don't know. I prefer to be invited, so I really know. So anyway, enough of that. Let's go on. Let's use these. These are rub-ons, I think. Oh, they are. So what am I going to use? Let's see. I think I'll cut them out one at a time. Let's use these. And actually, to tell you the truth, I'd just as soon be here doing my streams with you guys as to be in wherever they go to eat their prime rib. I'm sure it's a bar or something. It could be a restaurant, but they go to the sports bar quite a bit. And I imagine that's maybe one reason why they don't invite me too. They probably don't think that's a place for a great aunt. I get the biggest kick out of my brother because, sometimes I say, oh, I need to win the lottery. And he says, well, you got to play first. And I'm going, well, who told you that I never play the lottery? See, they make assumptions. They just assume that I'm this old codgy great aunt who has all these strict rules and all of that. Finally, I convinced him. Some things I don't tell him. I just let him think it. If that's what he wants to think, well, sometimes I just let him think it. Yeah. But when I win the lottery, I'm not going to tell him. I do play the lottery at times, not all the time. I play it when it gets to be a big amount. And I don't know if anybody won it Wednesday night or not. I haven't checked. The Powerball. But they just assume things. And that kind of bothers me. They think they know me and they don't. They don't ask how I feel about things. They assume they know how I feel about things. Ooh, this is so cool. Ooh, maybe I should zoom in one more. The page is curling here. Let me zoom in one more. Come on. Yeah. My cursor dances. It dances all around this screen. It makes me mad. YouTube, trying to get control of my browser and of my camera, and when it controls my browser, it controls my cursor where it goes, and I can't do anything. There. Good thing I got touchscreen. This is pretty cool. Where shall I put this one? Next to it or down here? Next to it, I think. Or down here. Down here. Let's put it down here. So I'm done. My brother's a pretty good brother, though. I mean, I don't mean to be bitching about him. He's given me a roof over my head. Hi, Lynn J. She's just lurking. Lynn J gifted me a $25 Walmart gift certificate, and I finally picked out what I want. And now I need to go put in the gift certificate number and actually set it up and get it. I'll be doing that. I'm kind of slow on those things, but I get them done. Is that going to come out? To rub a little harder, I think, on this. I think I got these from Lynn Wright. And bless Sharon Marlowe's heart, I think she had something to do with this. The larger ephemera package. If I get that off or not. There it comes. There it comes. Ooh, how cool is this? I almost want to keep those. So let's keep going here. Let's do the butterfly ones. Or we could put these in the margin, like this, maybe. Or maybe just like they are, or the buttons. Maybe the buttons, so I think I'll put over here. Mary's talking to herself. So Tanya McGuire comes on at 12 noon Central Time on Sundays. And she's doing this little journal. I haven't done anything with the cover yet. And she's doing mini zines and a little scrappy journal like we did last January. And I'm going to do my scrappy journal out of a deck of old maid playing cards. Only I'm going to keep some of them because they're duplicates. Like, you know, there's duplicate cards like the Queen of Hearts and the Queen of Diamonds is what I'm saying. So I might just use one queen, one king, one jack, like that. These rub-ons are really kind of fun. I haven't used rub-ons in a long time. Makes me want to go experiment with transfers. These are cool. Now, there's this strip down here. And look, I've got this little piece of text I could put in there. Or I have this. That might look good down there. What are you all chatting about? Hi, Renee. Do you have rain or snow yet? Sharon wants to know. Terry is leaving. Good night, Terry. Thanks for dropping by. She said it's been a long day. She wants to go get some rest. I understand. I understand. Sharon's supposed to go north of us. Well, I'm north of you, Sharon, and we don't have any bad weather yet, but I haven't looked out since 4 o'clock. If it's snowing now, I'm going to be pretty upset with my brother. It wasn't snowing when he left, so he was bound and determined he was going to go. And I'm going, you're going to risk killing yourself over a prime rib dinner. But I don't know. Can't talk any sense into somebody who has their mind all made up. And of course, it wasn't snowing when he left, so to him, well, it's not bad out. Did you look at the weather report? Actually, the sun was shining when he left, so I don't know if I can peek out here and see how bad it is. Where's my curtain thing? Where does it end? It ends over here. We got drapes that I push shut. Oh, it's really... I can't see anything because it's all dark out. I can't tell. I'd have to get up and go look. I left the lights on for him. We don't have a yard light. I have to leave all the kitchen and back door lights on for him so he can see to get in. There we go. Let's put this one down here. Now, I don't know if I'll use all these rub-ons on here. I'm just kind of filling in the margins and the... Now, fill in that space. I haven't used rub-ons in a long time. Probably since before I came down here. Crazy weather in Oklahoma, Sam says. Bad stuff in Tulsa tonight. So maybe it's maybe it's in Oklahoma. Maybe it's south of us, but not as far south as Sharon. There we go. Ooh, it's sticking to me. Now, this little piece I'm going to put in here. Really, it's not much, though. Just gotta... After I cut this off, I have to get it off the release paper off the back of it. There we go. And that only covered to about up to there. So let's do this. What is this? Oh, that says photographs. Ooh, that would look neat in there. That would look neat right in here. Right in here, maybe. We'll think of something else for up there. So I have a Phibbsville story tonight to tell you. After I get this done, we'll go into my story. I think that you'll enjoy it. I've been thinking about it all week. I even had to make sure I had some of my facts reasonably straight. I think I'll do that right. We're going to cover up the Simon on Neil. Put photographs right there. So it'll just show Neil in New York City, treating recognizable. I suppose I should do some sort of art on here too, and not use all rub-ons. I don't know, though. I don't think there's anything wrong with all rub-ons. This says photographs. It's a very illustrative P for the photographs. Capital P. Illuminated letter. You can hardly tell that it's a P. You almost have to know because of the word. It's very intricate and pretty, though. Maybe after I get this off. Photographs. And I'm thinking the numbers might be good in here. I think he's home. I heard the door go closed. He came home early. That's good. Okay, so I think I can do to the end of the 0 here. Either he's home or we have a home invasion thing. We don't get that here, so I'm not too worried. Whoever it is, they're using the bathroom. Sorry, lady, I had to invade your house. I got to go to the bathroom. Which reminds me of a story. You guys are going to laugh. When I worked in Indianapolis, I worked for as a contractor. A programmer contractor for a company that did process student loans. Oh, that was a fun job. I would tease the managers. I told them I was going to go in and write an application to pay off all the student debt. They didn't like that very well. They thought I was serious. I thought it was a pretty cool idea myself. I said, why don't we just write a program to go in and erase all the debt for all these poor kids going to school? But that's not my story. My story is one of the guys who worked on the team that I worked on. I don't know if I've told this before or not. Anyway, he worked on the team that I worked on. He was a company employee and I was just a contractor. Well, my car wouldn't start and it was about 6 o'clock and I went out and my car wouldn't start. So I came back in and he was still there working on something. I don't know. And he worked across the aisle from me so he could hear my conversations. And he picked up the fact that I was dialing a place to come out and start my car for me. And he offered to take me home because he was going through my area of the town to where he lived. And so I took him up on it. I said, okay, that would be nice of you. And I'll call somebody and get my car started after I get home. Well, he took me home and he wanted to come in and use the bathroom. I didn't want him to because I knew my bathroom had my underwear hanging up in it. I told him there was a garage station down the block. I wouldn't let him come in. And I look back on that now and I laugh and laugh and laugh about it. Here he was nice enough. He was nice enough to take me home when my car wasn't starting and I wouldn't let him come in and use my bathroom because I had underwear hanging in there. And I didn't want to go in there and grab it while he was waiting out there. I said, there's a garage station about a block away. You can go there. He did. He left. He was a nice guy. He was still nice to me at work, but I'm sure that he probably told the rest of the team members and they probably got a good laugh out of it. I laugh about it now, but you have to understand as I was a little bit more shy back then. I was just as shy. I didn't want a man in my apartment. Even if I knew him and even if he was nice. And especially if I had my underwear still hanging up in the bathroom. So there's my story for tonight. I look back on it now. That was years ago. This is 2020. It had to be 25, 26 years ago. I've grown up a little since then. I'd probably let him in today. Sure. Just watch out for the bra. Oh, dear. Let's see. I think I'll put a butterfly up here, and then I think I'll do something in here, but not with a rub in. Or I could put that postcard, which I think is cool. I think the butterfly might be nicer, though. Let's do the butterfly. And then I'll save these for another page, maybe in this same journal. So there we go. That's my story of the night. That's not the Phibbsville story, though. Oh. Yeah, I was pretty shy growing up. I didn't want any men in my apartment. What do you mean? You want to come in and use my bathroom? You were nice enough to take me home. Now you can go use the bathroom in the garage station down the road. Oh, dear me. That poor guy. I'd laugh at it now. If I could see him today, I'd probably apologize to him. He'd probably laugh. He said, "Oh, that was you." I think 20 some years ago, I really didn't come out of my shell until I started doing a lot of online stuff on the internet. And that was before I did. And I don't mean coming out of my shell, because I was out of my shell. I was just quiet. I was a quiet, reserved person. I wouldn't call myself shy. Well, maybe I was a little, but no. Is that going to come up? I laugh about it now. I think it's funny. Probably like Destiny in her toolbox. Thank you for fixing my car for me, but I'm not rolling down the window so that you can hand me my toolbox through the window. Oh, dear. Of course, in her case, he was a stranger on a motorcycle out on a country road. All right, so now what I want to do, let's see how this fountain pen works on here. Let's see how this fountain pen works. Oh, I want to grab a word. Recognition. Let's put recognition on here. Let's spell it first. R-E-C-O-G. Recognition. I-T-I-O-N. Recognition. Is that how you spell recognition? I'm looking for some words in here. Still got Edward Simon here. U.S. Secretary of the Treasury. Patterson, New Jersey. He served in U.S. Army in Japan, later became Wall Street dealer. Recognized as a leading expert on government something or other. Deputy Secretary. Oh, I'm so good. I'm so good. And look, that didn't even soak through this thin paper. I have a layer of wash over that. That did not even come through. I have that screen print ink on it. That's interesting. I'm going to try that on another thin paper and see if it's the paper or if it's the paint. Let's see. Barefoot in the park? No. Little is known. I'm looking for words. Let's see. I think I'm going to put little is known here. And I'm trying to pick out words here. Barefoot in the Park, Tower of London. Does not write too good over that rub-on. Tower of London. Just random words. Does not mean much. I need something right in there and maybe down in there. Let's see if I have some little stuff. And I think I'll call that done, and I'll have my page done for Tanya's challenge here. Let's see. Ooh, I kind of, but I don't want to cut. Now I just take these ink bottles. I'll take those ink bottles and maybe this bee insect up here. Still have that. What are you guys chatting about? I know, Norma, it was about 20 degrees here last night, Kendra says, and he just couldn't bear to have him sleeping on the street. Hi, Janice. Hi, Colleen. Hi, Kendra. Card Chick is in here, or Scrap Chick? Did I see Scrap Chick in here? Yeah, no, Sharon. There she is. Card Chick. That isn't Colleen, is it? That's, don't tell me. I want to call you Scrap Chick. You are, CB? Are you CB? See, Card Chick. Card Chick, tell me your name. I wanted to, I was thinking you were Scrap Chick. You're not. Are you Carol? CB? Do I get you mixed up with somebody else? I'm still learning names. I'm sorry. I apologize. Norma's here. Josie? Hi, Never Hopeless. Welcome, welcome, Elizabeth. Janice is in here. Hi, Janice. Violet. Hi, Petals. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Aunt Beck. Aunt Beck is here. Josie. Card Chick is Josie. I'm so sorry, Josie. I know I get you mixed up with Scrap Chick. With Colleen. Isn't she Scrap Chick? That's why I said, is she here? It kind of surprised me because I saw her on earlier. Hi, Desert Nana. Yeah, Colleen Scrap Chick. That's what gets me mixed up. There are too many chicks running around this. Too many chicks running around Phibbsville. Which reminds me, when I painted that rooster, they were saying, do we have a rooster in Phibbsville? So we might do a character map of a. You guys are going to have to tell me a rooster character for Phibbsville. Now let's put these ink bottles down in here, and then I'll quit. I promise. Now let's put them right here so my Y shows. I'm pretty happy with this page. Little is known, Tower of London Deputy Secretary. What does that mean? It could tell a story. I should put a picture in here, maybe on this side. When I get to do that page, I'll put maybe a Tim Holtz lost relative photo in there or something. All righty then. We'll have this done. Hi, Josie. Welcome, welcome, Josie. Oops. Well, I'm going to leave it. That bottle's broken on the bottom. Wondering why the ink isn't spilling out. All right. We're going to throw this away. All right. So that's done. And we're just going to save. I think I will cut this, though. I think I'll cut it. I might as well cut it there because it's going to rip there. Oops. I want to save those. I don't know how stable that's going to be. Maybe I should put it in like this. There we go. Now, maybe like that. Okay. So let's move on. Let's move on to what else I have going tonight. I showed you the card recycle. I did Tanya's book. Okay, what I want to do next is I've been doing these daily sketches, or trying to do. They're not daily, but I'm calling them Phibbsville sketches. And this is the rooster that we did the other morning. And maybe I should zoom out here because it's going to be. And I think that rooster has too big of a head. I don't think chickens have that big of heads, but there he is. I should have made his head a little smaller, but if I would have made his head smaller, I don't know, it just wouldn't fit on the page right. And then I did this lady off of that photograph I have. So I'm ready to do another one here. And while I'm doing it, I'm going to tell my Phibbsville story because this kind of relates to Phibbsville. And I'm gonna draw, and let's just get out. Let's draw with this pen. Put my scissors away, and I'm not going to be looking at chat while I'm doing this. So, I got 57 people in here. Welcome, 58. Welcome, everybody. Hi, Mrs. D. Actually, the rooster looks good. Thank you, Mina. Thank you. I don't keep chickens around, so you like it? Oh, thank you, guys. Thank you. I appreciate your saying that because I thought maybe he was kind of out of proportion. He looks kind of mean to me, but he is colorful. He's got all those. He's gorgeous. Thank you, Elizabeth. Aw, thank you. Roosters have big heads? Well, this one did. I guess it just kind of came out on my paper. Oh, yeah, Aunt Beck. Aunt Beck had a vaccination for shingles, and she's been reacting to it. Aunt Beck will keep you in our thoughts and prayers. Shingles are bad enough, but to have a reaction to the vaccination or the shot for it, that's even worse. You found the journal that Tanya sent you. Oh, good. It's an accomplishment. I put mine in a special place because she sent them, I think, sometime in November. Did she send them sometime in November? She sent them early. No, I guess it was December. But after I read her note, I knew I better put that where I could find it. Aunt Beck said she told me I'd feel a little crummy for a couple of days. There's a town outside of Orlando, Florida, where roosters have the right of way. Oh, I'd never give a rooster the right of way. He'd probably chase me, though. Aw, hi, Petals. Cock-a-doodle-doo, dooby-doo, Janice says. Kind of going through chat here because when I get the sketching on this sketch, I'm going to tell my story and I'm going to be in my own. Hi, Julie Topaz girl. Josie is card chick. Okay, I'm back up to that. All right. And Julie, if you're still in here, welcome, welcome. So I have this sketch that I downloaded. Let me get it. I, of course, got out of my... And I'm not going to tell you who this is. You can kind of probably figure it out from my story, but I'm going to kind of sketch here. Now, you know that in Phibbsville, we've been evicted at the TheMeriAtelier in Phibbsville in my story. We have until January 15th to get out. We have until January the 15th to get out of Phibbsville, out of the TheMeriAtelier building. And is this pen going to draw? I guess it will for now, light. Oh, I don't think it will. I have to get me another pen. Excuse me while I go get another pen. But we are being evicted out of Phibbsville, out of the TheMeriAtelier in Phibbsville. That's a Uniball pen. So Christmas was not too happy for us. We're just kind of moping around, to tell you the truth. And here it is, January the 10th. We got 5 days. And for those of you who missed the story, Miss Mary was telling everybody when we were decorating for Christmas, Miss Mary was had a lot of tears, and they wanted to know what was wrong. And I was telling them the story of getting evicted by this young guy from England. Well, he's really from the States, but he's working in England now for Google, and he's working on that second grade artificial intelligence machine that runs YouTube. Writing software or something for it. And so I have to take this off of the charger and move it around. I hope that didn't... If I lose sound, yell at me. Do I still have sound? Sometimes. Pop, pop. Hi, Tanya. What does pop, pop mean? Tanya says, pop, pop, Mary. Did you pop in? Hi. She says, hi. You're popping in. Hi, Tanya. I was telling them I worked in... Did you see the page I did? Did you see the page I did in your little journal that you sent out to everybody? This is my page right here on that thin paper. I used rub-ons that I got from Lynn Wright. And then I just picked words off of the text underneath. But you know what I found interesting is my fountain pen didn't soak through. Now, I don't know if it's because I know that ink soaks through. And I don't know if it's because of the paper or I coated this with some of that gold silk screen. And I just did a light wash. So I'm going to test that again on some copybook paper and see if that light wash blocks that ink. If it does, I'm going to be very happy. So hi, Tanya, and welcome. So I'm telling my Phibbsville story while I'm sketching this guy. Lucia McGill, what time Eastern, please? Lucia says, are they talking about a stream? Aunt Beck's telling about her shingles shot. She said the original 2-part shots had live cultures and they discovered it was only 50% effective. But this new one does not contain any live culture. I'm looking to see if Lucia is going to stream here because Janet was asking what time. You are 3 hours ahead. Oh, I guess she was asking what time it was where she was. Are you going to stream tomorrow morning, Lucia? I'll come back and look at that. Lucia will be streaming tomorrow at noon Eastern time. Here's her link. Lucia McGill, yay! At 9 Pacific. So that will be 11 Central time. 9 Pacific, 12 Eastern, 11 Central, 10 Mountain. Okay, so I'm going to go back here and sketch my man. Oops, that's YouTube. Let's see. Anyway, the story is that we're being evicted out of the TheMeriAtelier building. And we were kind of all down about it while we were decorating. We had kind of a rotten Christmas, to tell you the truth. Everybody had a good Christmas, but not at the TheMeriAtelier in Phibbsville. We were just kind of down because, we knew we were going to have to give up our meeting place just because of some young man wants to make a buck. He wants to tear the building down where my great great grandfather worked, and my great grandmother worked at a general merchandising department store in Phibbsville. And he wants to tear it down and put up a 3-story parking lot where he can make money. He thinks that we're getting enough people in here that in Phibbsville that he can take advantage of it now. And, he's 19 or 20. He's got to think about if he doesn't get Social Security, he's got to build up his retirement. And we're kind of, and Destiny, she just won't have anything to do with him now. We figured out that he is the man who helped her get her car started and drove away with her pink toolbox. And she's got his leather jacket, and she took it off and she gave it to Frederick, who's our lead pencil criminal. So here we are. It's January the 10th, and we've got 5 days to get out. And so we've been kind of, we don't have much in here because it's just a gathering place. We kind of just have some tables and items in the break room, the little kitchenette area, making sure that all the dishes are sent back home with the right people and just stuff like that. But while we're doing that, we usually meet on Saturdays. And of course, now you have to kind of think, if we go with January 11th would be our Saturday. And I'm telling this on a Friday night. But, and that when we met at Christmas, our lead pencil Frederick, our lead pencil criminal guy, who is now kind of trying to get reformed, he had a bright idea, and he grabbed Officer Orville, and they ran out of the meeting, and they went to the courthouse. And then he disappeared for a couple weeks. We didn't hear anything from him. And the Johann Wagner is the name of the young man who's working for Google. Johann Wagner, we learned that. And anyway, he is not too happy that Destiny gave that leather jacket to Frederick to wear, because she didn't want anything to do with him anymore. And he had stormed in the newspaper office, because that's the only place he knew where to contact Destiny, was at the newspaper office. Well, Miss Mary happened to be at the newspaper office because we were naming streets. We're going to name, or we had named streets in Phibbsville, and I was setting up an announcement in the Daily Fibber. The Daily Fibber is our newspaper at Phibbsville, the Daily Fibber. Lucia named our paper for us. And anyway, this guy's eyes are really interesting. If you could see them here. One eye is kind of staring at you here, but this other eye kind of goes way off into the corner. So he's kind of staring at you with this eye, but this eye is way off over in here. That's kind of interesting, kind of creepy. Anyway, he put up a fit in at the Daily Fibber office because Destiny had given the leather jacket to Frederick, our lead pencil criminal, because she didn't want anything to do with it anymore after she found out that he was going to evict us from the TheMeriAtelier. So he kind of, luckily Officer Orville was around and we got him calmed down, and he went back to London. He's out of the country now. So we're meeting here on January the 10th, and Frederick has been gone for a couple weeks. But while we've been meeting here, he shows up. And we're discussing, we're all just kind of down because we're going to have to, this would probably be our last meeting before we have to get out of the TheMeriAtelier. And Frederick comes up and he has a stack of papers in his hands. And they're a photograph. And they're a photograph of this man that I'm sketching right here now. And he challenges all of us artists who are gathering for the last time to draw pictures of this guy. And that's what I'm doing right here now. That's the challenge that he's giving to us. And while he passed them out, and while he's passing them out, he says, I've got some information to share with you. I got a story, and he's going to tell his own story while we're sketching this creepy man here. Really isn't creepy. He just looks stern. Let's put it that way. He looks very stern. And so here's his story. He says, this man is I have to figure it out here. I made notes. This is what I was researching. So let's see. That would be his dad. That would be his grandfather. That would be his great-grandfather, great-great. So this man would be the lead pencil criminals, great-great-great, 3 greats, great-great-great, right? Great-great-great grandfather. That's who we're sketching. And this is the picture that he handed out in our meeting. And so we're all going, okay, we're sketching Frederick's great-great-great-grandfather. And he said, well, there's more to this story. He said, I was gone for 2 weeks. I went back east and I was doing some research of my family. He's been researching his family. He says, I kind of know the story of my family, but I wanted to be sure that everybody who's passed away, who I thought passed away, has really passed away. He's just kind of doing some documenting and going to the courthouses and doing some genealogy research and that type of thing. And he had to go back east to do it. So that's where he's been the last couple weeks. Well, here's what he found out. And I wrote it all down here for you. I'm going to read it. His great, this would be his father, his grandfather, his great grandfather, his great grandfather, and this is his great grandfather. Lived in Germany in 1873, and he died in 1883. And he had a son, Karl Wagner. And now these are all fictitious. And I used Johann because it's a German name, and I used Wagner because it's a German name. But this doesn't relate to anybody real. This guy is real, but I'm using him in his picture in a fictitious. It's a public domain photograph, so I'm just kind of using it as part of my story. And so he had a son, Karl Wagner. This is what he found out when he did his family research in 1839, who died in 1919. And his great-grandfather had a son, Friedrich Wagner, who was born in 1879 and died in 1939. And he had a son, which was his grandfather. And his grandfather immigrated from Germany to the States in 1905. And guess where they came? They came to Phibbsville. And they were the people who built this building where the TheMeriAtelier is, the general merchandising department store. So his grandfather came over from Germany to the States. And he actually had a deed to that building. Well, when Frederick, our lead pencil criminal, had grabbed Officer Orville that Friday that we were decorating for Christmas, and they ran over to the courthouse. It was Friday, but it was kind of early in the afternoon. The courthouse was still open. And they did a little title search for this building. And they found out that the title was still under the name of Richard I Wagner. That's whose name was still on that deed. That deed had never been transferred over. But in life, Richard had two sons. He had Ludwig I Wagner, who was born in 1921. And, he had one son, he had one son who was born in 1921, who was the father of Richard Wagner II and Frederick. Well, Richard Wagner II was born in 1941, and Frederick was born in 1951. Frederick never married. He actually, he was born in 51. He actually fought in Vietnam during the Vietnam War, and that's where he got his PTSD, his post-traumatic stress disorder. He never really married. And doesn't this guy kind of look like the lead pencil criminal that we did at first? Doesn't he kind of look like this? Look at his eyes. When I looked at this, I said, oh, he's the grandfather, the great-grandfather of the lead pencil criminal. That's what I said when I saw this. So what happened was Ludwig II was the father of Frederick and Richard II, who was born in 1941. Well, Richard got married again, and he actually, when his father died in 1952, He died a year after Frederick was born. When he died, Richard, who was older, automatically said, well, I'm the oldest son, so I've got the building. So the building just kind of went to him, but they never registered the deed. They never changed the title of the deed. It was still in his grandfather's name. And then it passed down to Ludwig II, and then to Ludwig III, who was born in 1979. And look who's down here, Johann Wagner. That's in our story, that's our little Google AI guy who was born in 1991, and he's still alive. So actually, Johann and Frederick, I guess you could call him, Frederick is an uncle to Johann, kind of a, a great uncle here, great uncle. But because of all the dates, that's how it kind of works out. Frederick never married, but Richard got married, and he had a son who had a son who had, in 1999, who had Johann. So here we go. When Frederick went off, he had to verify that these guys had actually passed away, and that the title to the building should go, where would it go to if there was no deed registered? You would think that it would go to the oldest living son. And so Frederick is coming back and saying, this building does not belong to Johann, even though he thinks it does. It really belongs to me. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Now, there's probably going to be a legal battle in here, because we know Johann is over in England now, but he's been over to the States, and when he gets wind of this, and that he all of a sudden can't build we were going to put a stop to him in the city council building that building anyway, that parking lot. But now, not only can he not build the 3-story parking lot, he no longer owns the building, because Frederick has verified that all of these people previous have passed away. The only 2 living relatives of Johann Wagner, who was born in 1873, is Frederick and Johann. So that's the end of that story for tonight. Did you all get the story? I smell a family feud, Renee says. Good night, Elizabeth. There's a twist. But so what he's saying, don't pack up anymore. Frederick is saying, don't pack up anymore. Stop what you're doing, And, Frederick, who was kind of mean to Janet at the first, is really, he had a post-traumatic stress disorder from fighting in Nam, but he's really got a good heart. He's got a good heart, and he's putting a stop to us getting evicted. Now, there'll probably be a legal battle in here. I would think there would be, because remember, when Johann came over, there was this other kind of companion to him who Miss Mary just didn't quite trust. He kind of a snide guy. So we're smelling a family feud coming up. So I guess what we're going to have to do is, and I don't know too much about what happens to property that has never been deeded down through the family. But that really wasn't that long ago. He passed away in 1952. Well, 52, 62, 72, 82, 92, 2002, 2000. It's been 60 some years. So what happens? You would think that the courts would rule, if it was taken to court, or even if it got that far for court, that the courts would rule that it would be property. There was no will. We verified that the guy didn't have a will, and the deed wasn't turned over. Their deed was never registered in the name of any of these people. They just didn't do it. They were and if it would have been done, it would have legally have been done in Frederick's name because this guy was dead, so he's the only living guy. This guy was older. This guy was the older son, or this guy was the older son here. It's the father. This Richard was born in 1941. He's 10 years older, but he passed away. He passed away. Yeah, and so you would think that the next living relative would be Frederick. But because they never really followed the deed and never followed it down, and they just assumed that it went down the line to Johann. And you know how it is in small towns. They just go, oh, it belongs to him. And he's actually has been collecting my $10 rent for probably an entire year. A year plus. So he owes me $200, or he owes Frederick $200 because he's been collecting rent on a building he doesn't own. So Frederick is really interested in meeting Johann. That's why he wants to meet him. But don't forget that Destiny gave that leather coat to Frederick to wear. That I'm just drawing a coat here. I'm not sure I remember how her leather coat looks, but don't forget that the leather coat here is now in Frederick's possession, and Johann thinks he wants his leather coat back, but Frederick has it. So Frederick wants to meet, or Johann wants to meet Frederick as much as Frederick wants to meet Johann. So we've got some interesting stories coming up. What did Holly say? Sharon, remember, if you sprinkle while you... Oh, I'm not going to read the rest of that, Holly. Oh, you guys, you get me in trouble. You know, they say, let's see. Let's go back up this line here. Jack Elam, the character actor that came out in so many Westerns, had eyes like that. Really? Really? Yeah, one eye is looking at you here, and the other eye is kind of looking off over this way. It's kind of creepy. Let's finish sketching this guy. But that's my story for tonight. So we're kind of got a little reprieve in being evicted from our building. We're anticipating a battle. We're anticipating a battle because when Johann gets word of this, he's not going to settle for it. Let's see. His eye kind of comes like that. And it kind of comes down like that. And it's got a lot of shading up in here. It's really dark on this side of his face. And he's got a high cheekbone like this. And his other ear is kind of falling in there. And yeah, hair kind of comes like that, sort of. And it's all dark in there. So I'm just going to scribble in there, make it dark. Only I think his eye is closed a little more, and it's got a little back. I'm not good at noses. I practice my noses, but I guess it kind of comes like that. And he's got that divot, if that's what you call it, underneath of it. And lips. Very terse. He's very stern looking man. So if the building in Phibbsville turns out to be owned by the lead pencil criminal, what do you think he's going to do with it? Miss Mary's getting the sense that since he's gone to all this trouble, that he's going to let us stay there. We think he is. He's given us indications that he is. But now remember, too, in that building, in our story, in that second story, there are all those rooms up there that are locked. And we don't know what's in those rooms. But boy, if we don't have to go get permission from Johann, if we only have to get permission from the lead pencil criminal, just think we might be able to get in there and explore. And Miss Mary is kind of turning that over in her head, too. Let's shade this in a little. And he's got he's got one of those beards that's coming down his ear here, kind of under his chin. He's got some chin hair down in here. And this is all kind of in shadow. In shadow. His lips are kind of in shadow here and there. And then he's got a collar. It kind of comes this way. Now remember, Phibbsville is he's got some sort of a bow tie going on here. Some sort of looks like his jacket comes out this way, and it's got some sort of we're going to give him a big silky bow like a man in the 1800s would wear. I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, Phibbsville is a small town in a big park. That's kind of the motto for Phibbsville. And our lead pencil criminal, who looks an awful lot like his great-great-great-great-grandfather, is really now, because he's kind of going through some community service, because he gave Janet a black eye because she wouldn't sell him any pencils. He had a fit. But now he owns, he's been kind of like the gardener around doing his community service, but now he owns the.meri.atelier. So is he going to settle? Is this guy going to settle for being a gardener? We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen to him. What kind of a reaction? What is he going to do with all this newfound status that he has in Phibbsville? And you might be thinking, well, why didn't he know that at the beginning of the story? Well, remember, this guy has fought in the war, and he kind of has PTSD, and he probably, just like Johann, probably didn't pay too much attention to it until he found out that the.meri.atelier is getting evicted from this building. But he remembers, if you go back, if you look at my chart here, his brothers passed away, but he remembers his dad telling stories about his grandfather, who was Richard I Wagner, and Miss Mary's great-great-grandfather, or great-grandfather it would be, Miss Mary's great-grandfather, I'll put Miss Mary, great-grandfather actually ran that store. And so they were kind of pals. And Frederick is now kind of remembering the stories between Miss Mary's, about his great-grandfather and Miss Mary's great-grandfather. So he's kind of putting two and two together here and recalling stories that he heard in his youth that probably didn't make too much sense to him, but now it's starting to all come together. And so he's been doing some research, and he's coming back and saying, this building doesn't belong to that other guy. It belongs to me. And I think I'm pretty much done with my sketch here. I think I need to put more of this in shadow in here. And he's kind of got some lines in there. He's kind of got a line coming this way. Maybe more of this is in shadow in here. That ear isn't too much in shadow. More of his hair is in shadow here. Actually, it's not that wild up there. So it kind of got some lines in here. And I think that's probably, maybe, it's kind of hard to tell when you sketch from a note. And actually, I think this was a lithograph. This really isn't a photograph. This is a lithograph. So it's kind of hard to get a good sketch. But anyway, it's his eyes. It's his eyes that are interesting. And his big stern eyebrows. I should probably do his eyebrows a little more dark. So that's my Fibs bill. Let's sign it here. This is my sketch for Fibsville Sketches, but it's also my story for tonight. And I think I put, yeah. Now I could hit this with some watercolor or some water. Let's see what would happen here. Let's see how, sometimes this kind of fools me because I think that it's got more ink in it than it does sometimes. And I think they kind of changed the formula of these pens. I don't think they are as soluble as they used to be. These R2 pens. Because I should be getting more shading in here than I am. All of this is, I think they made them a little more permanent, which is okay. I'll just go use something else. Shading in here. Under his eye a little more. Okay, I guess I should probably leave it alone. So what else was I going to do tonight? I told my story. I did the sketch. I was going to do the Latin word. What time is it getting to be? 9:15. Let's go back into chat. Yeah, maybe the store is part of the museum. Oh, what are you guys talking about? Janice says, me and Mary's landlord, gonna be interesting. Well, it does get it more interesting, but maybe in a way you aren't aware of yet. Miss Mary may not be the main character here. Allie K says, stationary gift shop, or maybe she will get steak. Your sketch is better than the picture. Oh, I don't know about that. I think he kind of looks like the great-great-great-grandfather of the Fibsville LPC of Frederick. He looks like Frederick's great-great-great-grandfather. All right. Janice, what are you passing out there? Cookies? I can't see too well on my phone. Cheryl has eyes. Mina says, ooh, Azure, Frederick could open a stationery store that offers all types of pencils and pens. Ooh. Oh, a pencil museum. Or maybe a little town museum. Ooh, you guys are giving me ideas now. You know, I showed you, was it last week or the week before? I showed a picture of that building in the central block of the real little town that's about 8 miles to the east of us that has all those bay windows in there. Well, that little town in real life is going to have, I think it's their 150th town celebration in 2021, but they have a little town museum. And I'm wanting to go over there because one of my, and here's where I get mixed up. I'm going to have to go look at the genealogy. It's either my great grandfather or my great great grandfather in real life actually owned and operated a creamery in that little town way back in the early days, in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And I'm hoping that little town museum might have some information on that creamery. It'd be cool if they had a picture of it, or maybe I remember when I was a little girl, we would drive by there and there'd be old men sitting out in front of that creamery. That's what they did way back in the day. And those old men would sit out and they'd have a bench out in front of those old stores and one or two stores, and they'd sit out in front and watch people go by. So I remember driving by with my mom when I was a little girl, and we drove by in the old car, and I remember seeing the men sit out in front of that building. Now, at that time, it wasn't my great great grandfather, it was probably my great uncle sitting out there. But a pencil museum sounds like a good idea. We'll have to keep that in mind. Creepy Man. And Sharon Marlowe will be streaming Saturday and Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central Time. Okay. So Janet's given a reminder. I have to get another sip of tea. I've been talking too much. Thank you. Lucia's going to stream tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central, which is 12 noon and 9 Pacific and 10 Mountain Time. And then Sharon Marlowe is going to be streaming Saturday and Wednesday at 4 p.m. Excuse me. I must be losing my voice. Maybe I should just shut up and do some art. Fancy dressing gardener. Well, this is his great 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 grandfather, but he's got the eyes. Our lead pencil criminal has his kind of his facial structure and his wild look to him and his eyes. Remember my very first story where he gave Janet a black eye, and Miss Mary was just coming into the building and he was running out, and we kind of met at the door, and he stared at me with those wolf steel gray eyes. Of course, they're black here. He said, "This is your lucky day, lady." Like I avoided getting a black eye too. He has a really big head, Sue says. Well, he does here because I sketched him on but really his head is kind of life-sized in a way. His head's not any bigger than it would be in real life. But this is a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Oh, excuse me. Man, I've been talking too much. But he does kind of have a big head. But I wanted to emphasize the face and the eyes. And I think I kind of accomplished that. Remember, he's the great, great, great grandfather. And it was, let's look at the chart again here. Frederick and Richard II were sons of Ludwig II. So this is the father. Ludwig II is the father. Richard I is the grandfather. Frederick I is the great grandfather. What is it? Oh wait, father, great grandfather, and Karl Wagner is the great great, and Johann Wagner, who really is the namesake of our Johann down here, is the great great great, three greats grandfather. But I think it's kind of interesting how the story developed, because I didn't plan this out. It just kind of happened. Johann is as interested in getting his leather jacket back and needing this. He calls him an old coot, but really this old coot is Frederick. And because he's got Johann's jacket, and Frederick is interested in meeting Johann because he's figured out that Johann is his grandnephew, grandnephew or something. He would be grandnephew, three grands. They were having kids on this side of the family about every 20 years. I think that's how I worked it out. But Frederick, he went to the Vietnam War and he had PTSD and he never really got married. So he really doesn't have a family to pass anything down to unless it's Johann, which is another interesting thing, isn't it? Okay, let's go back to chat. It is a real historical figure, Little Red Wagon. It's Richard Wagner, the composer, the German composer, but I didn't want to identify his line with my story, so I changed Richard to Johann. This, if you would wiki Richard Wagner, Richard, it's Wilhelm Richard Wagner, you will find that he was born in 1873 and died in 1883. But I picked up some of the names like Karl and Frederick because I'd already named my LPC criminal Frederick, and I'd already named Johann, but it kind of worked out that the names kind of fell in because they were German. If you read about him in Wiki, this is really a composer, the composer Richard Wagner. Renee was asking, is it a real historical figure, the photo? And it's a lithograph. It's really not a photograph, it's a lithograph. Does that make sense? And Janice, you probably have seen him before because he's a famous composer. But I'm just using it's in the public domain, and I'm using his photograph, and it doesn't look that much like him. I'm just kind of using him as not as a character in our story, but as I used it kind of to get the family line down here. And that photograph, if you look at it, he kind of looks like the lead pencil criminal, like he could be the great, great, great uncle of the lead pencil criminal. I could draw this again and probably get a better real, I don't want to fool with it though, because I can see in here things I need to change to make it look more like this, but that wasn't my goal. My goal was to tell the story. Kind of I gotta quit messing with it. Let's see. I was reading chat. Allie K said, haha, Sharon, remember, oh, I'm back to Holly. Holly's little comment that I'm not going to read out loud. Suze trying to wake up. Did I put you to sleep, Suze? My story put you to sleep? Elizabeth had to leave. Yeah, he does look like he's saying, I'm going to take care of you. Yeah. All right. Well, Janet has been telling us that Lucia is going to stream tomorrow morning at 12 noon Eastern, 11 Central, 10 Mountain, and 9 Pacific. And Sharon Marlowe is going to stream at 4 p.m. on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So she'll be streaming 4 p.m. Central. Okay. Janice says, okay, now I know I'm not crazy and losing my mind, just little pieces. Yeah. What did Aunt Beck say? Yeah, Aunt Beck took a genealogy, and I'm glad you're in here tonight, Aunt Beck. I'm glad that you're coming into some of the streams. Yay. Because I'm going to miss Aunt Beck. I'm missing. Oh, dear. All right, let's see. My sister traced our family all the way back to the Mayflower, Kendra says. Ooh, that's cool. Aunt Beck did a genealogy test, and she's been finding interesting relations way back and finding family she didn't know she had. No one talked about family history. I know my grandfathers only knew one of them. Well, I didn't really personally know any of my grandmother and grandfathers because my parents married late, and my grandparents, I kind of knew my grandmother on my dad's side. I remember her as a little girl, but I really didn't know her. I just she was a figure in my life. She was grandma, but I didn't have a relationship with her. I kind of miss that. How many people here know the name of one of their great, great, great grandfathers? Well, I think I do because of the genealogy chart. Yeah, he would have been Eberhard. Eberhard came over from Germany. Russian. They came from Germany, and then they went to Russia, and then things weren't any better in Russia, so they came over in the late 1800s and the early 1900s. They immigrated. They weren't Russian descent; they were German descent. They went to Russia from Germany, and then things weren't very good there, so they came over. They had the opportunity to come to, and we have a lot of German Russians in Nebraska. In fact, there are groups. If you go online and research, there are groups of people who have descendants from German Russians who are doing genealogy research and everything. It's kind of interesting, which makes me think I might be able to trace. Now, my dad's side, it's a little bit harder to trace the genealogy. I don't think I can go back to the great-great-greats. No, in the lithograph. I don't know what you mean, Suze, because I've lost track. What is a creamery? A creamery was where, where they would milk the cows and everything, and then they'd take the milk in to have it separated, the cream from the they did it as a business. They'd have these big, the old-fashioned milk cans. Now, some of the farmers may have done all that cream separation themselves, but they did it as a business. That's a good question. What is a creamery? But they ran it as a business in this small town. They called it the creamery. And there was a note on my aunt, my mother's sister. They're all passed away now, but on the genealogy that she had written a note that they kept that creamery spick and span. I mean, they had to. They had to keep it clean. And I just think, yay. Yay them. There's a over in England, and they make all those watercolor pencils and watercolors, Derwent colored pencils. They actually do have a pencil museum. There are many mysteries in the museum, Cheryl says. A stationary gift store. I kind of like that idea of a museum. We're going to see what happens here. All right, let's go down to chat here. Azure says, my mother's side is French and Micmac Indian. My father's side is Portuguese and Spanish, Welsh, and Russian. Mom called us Heinz 57. Oh, Azure. Heinz 57. Steak sauce. What did Janice say? Janice said, I was told, no lie, by an uncle that we were Irish on his side of the family and tossed out of Ireland for drinking and stealing sheep. Dad said his family tossed from Scotland for the same stuff. Yeah. Well, there was a different culture back then. There was a different culture. We probably couldn't get away with some of the things. Well, they were kicked out, but if they went around in today's world, uh, tossed out for drinking and stealing sheep, they'd probably be put in jail. Probably wouldn't be deported, but probably be fined. Now, maybe 100 years ago, they might have been shot. Wow. I don't have a list to go with this story. I did a sketch instead. Aunt Bex, did you do one of those DNA tests? Yeah, Aunt Bex did. I remember you telling us all about that. Aunt Beck has some interesting relatives. Janice said, just figured out they were poor Irish and Scot and immigrated in the 17 or 1800s. Yeah, I don't think my side of the family, my mother's side of the family, were that rich. I mean, they were probably just poor farmers, poor people, or people who were looking. I guess you could call them back then. You could call them dreamers. They were looking for a better life, and a lot of people who come to the United States they were either looking for freedom or religious freedom, or just a better life. I know my cousins, my oldest cousin, who's still living, he's in his late 80s now, but his wife was a school teacher, and she was talking about him because we were talking about genealogy, and she said they faced persecution in Germany, so they went to Russia, and the ruler in Russia promised them land and good things, so they immigrated to Russia, and then it didn't happen. In fact, they were being just as persecuted as much. So a lot of the German Russians immigrated to the United States, and I guess my great great grandparents were a part of that immigration. German, Scotch, Irish, and Cherokee Indian here. Yeah, Cheryl, you know what I say? On my dad's side, it's English and Cherokee and a little Irish. But I laugh about it now because we always said we had 1/16 or something like that. And I'm going, I probably have less Indian blood in me than Elizabeth Warren does. I laugh about it because it's a political thing now. But yeah, I can't prove it. I suppose I could prove it if I did a DNA test. But the story is we've got some Cherokee Indian blood in us. but it's probably so little. I mean, probably DNA might even pick it up, might not pick it up. 3 copies exist, but all my mom's siblings got CDs. That's cool. Yeah, I made printouts of all the genealogies, and I kept. My cousin gave me my aunt's genealogy charts from on my mom's side, and that was really in depth, and that's where I'm getting all the information that I have on my mom's side. On my dad's side, it really went to my mother, which went to my younger brother when we were still brother and sister back then. He had given me a copy. And I think I gave a copy to my older brother. So we kind of can trace it, but I would like to get it all together in one big. And I'd like to go over there to that little museum in the little town to the east of us and see if they have any information on a creamery. Aunt Beck said, I was always told we had Indian blood. DNA said not one drop is in me. Yeah, I kind of suspect that with me too, Aunt Beck. But the story is on my side of the family is on my dad's side. One of my grandfathers or great grandfathers fought in the Civil War or the Revolutionary War. I don't know if it was the Revolutionary or the Civil War. But he got wounded and they had to cut off his leg. And they said it took 5 men. This is the family legend, the story that's told. It took 5 men to hold him down to cut off his leg. And then when he was being nursed back to health, he was nursed by an Indian maiden and he married her, Cherokee Indian maiden, and he married her. So that was the story. But proving that, the Native American Indians say if you have 1 drop of Indian blood, you are part of the tribe. Well, that's interesting. I did learn about a relative and her daughter were stolen by the Indians, but were recovered. Isn't that cool? That's interesting. See, I think it's kind of sad that we lose so much of our family history. So much of our family history is lost. Not in some families. Some families keep good records, but boy, my family sure didn't. My aunts did, but I would like to know more. I would have loved to know I would have loved to know my great great Aunt Molly. I'd love to know my grandmothers. I'd love to, I just know that they did needlework, and I know they loved art. I mean, I just know it in my heart. I don't know it for sure, but I'd love to sit down and have a good old talk with them. Azure says, my mom's grandparents were Micmac Indians. I don't know what Micmac Indians are. Her mom was Iroquois and French Canadian. Did anybody ever meet Buffalo Bill Cody? No one will ever know for sure. I don't know. Buffalo Bill Cody was supposed to have settled in Nebraska. I read a lot about him in the Nebraska magazine. He's got a home out here someplace in western Nebraska. And there's also down where my parents lived, a little few miles to the southeast, is a graveyard of Parson Bob, who was supposed to have been the father of Annie Oakley, which I thought was really interesting. But he liked the Little Blue River and he wanted to be buried there, and he didn't want a big hoot-de-doo about his fame. So he's buried down there along the Little Blue River. And my mom and I went out. I remember when I was older, when I was living down with my parents, my mom and I went out there and found his gravesite. I probably took some pictures of it, probably have them somewhere. But I tried to find it here recently, and my brother said it's on private property now. You can't get to it, so. Micmac is a Canadian Indian band, originals from the Newfoundland area. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting, Azure. Ambeck says, I would love to have known my great grandmother on my mom's side, as she was the local midwife and knew all about the wild herb remedies. Oh, And Beck, that's right up your alley, isn't it? That's cool. Very cool. And Beck, I know you're doing your Comp 2020 book, your Comp Book 2020 on herbs and native plants and that. Have you researched the Edwardian lady? Have you researched that? Her name is Elizabeth Holden, Holden. She's on Wiki. I was going to send you a link, and then I thought, oh, she probably's already found it because you have not. Her name is Elizabeth Holden, Holden. If you look for her on Wiki, and she wrote a book called The Edwardian Lady, and she's got a lot of plants and that. I thought of you when I saw it. In Nebraska, Mary, they grew sugar beets. Yes, they did. And in eastern Colorado, and in fact, my uncles, my mother's brothers, I have this old photograph. I should get that out and show it to you guys sometime. It was given to me by my older cousin, and it's a photograph of my mother with her brothers and sisters out. Well, I don't know if my mother was there. It's my aunts and uncles when they were just toddlers. My mother was raised by my great aunt, but out in eastern Colorado, they were sugar beet farmers, and they were showing where they were in this old farmhouse, and they had the big old long sugar. They were just little kids. These big old sugar beets, and they had a big old knife where they were harvesting and they took a photo of them. My family probably knew your family. I wouldn't be surprised, but my family was not. My family were people. They were poor farmers. They weren't well known in the community. They might have known if they had lived in Sutton, they might have known my grandfather. My grandfather was a part of the police department. He was a police officer. My mother's father, probably in the late 20s, early 30s, for several years in that little town to the east of us. He was a police officer. I'd like to see if I could find some information about him. But other than that, they were just poor farmers. Here in Alabama, we grew cotton and sugarcane, Teresa says. Allie K, yes, Red Wagon, exactly. What do you read? A Crystal Grimoire, Grimori. I had a crazy idea to do a comp book on crystals, but I don't need another project right now. Boy, do I identify with not needing another project. I would have loved to join in with Beth Schuler on her felting. I really wanted to do that, but I just cannot handle one more thing. I'm just going nuts with projects. Yeah, yours were poor too. Well, maybe they did know each other, Cheryl. That farm that they grew up on is still in the family. My Uncle Sam, my mother's youngest brother, he's passed away now, but he owned that farm, and it probably went to his son. His son grew up to be a veterinarian. Very good-looking guy, too. What did Renee say? We're talking about the crystal. What is, Renee, what is a grimoire? Grimoire. What is that? A crystal grimoire. I don't know what that is. Oh, a grimoire? Grimoire. What is that? Are you telling me how to pronounce it? Grimoire? What is it? I'm thinking of some sort of a display item, but I have no idea what it is. Look it up at this. It's very interesting. What is a grimoire? A spell book? Oh, it's a spell book. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know about spells. I don't cast spells. I say prayers. Aunt Beck, have you done research on moringa powder? I'm probably mispronouncing most of this stuff. They're calling it the miracle tree. I've heard so many positive things on it. Petals is saying, I got it. Been on it for 5 days. It helps arthritis, pain, and inflammation. Oh my goodness. How interesting is that? It's called moringa, Moringa, for crystal or other spiritual healing. It's not a spell book. Okay. I'm just reading the comments. Home remedies, herbal medicines, etc. And eyesight. Aunt Beck says she's going to look into it. So many other things. Well, that's cool. What else do I have on my list for tonight? Latin. Shall we do a Latin word? Let's do a Latin word. I want to move on to Latin. Let's move on to Latin, and then I think I'll call it a night. I was going to do a Fidsville character map on a... Well, let's do this. Let's add one. Let's do it right now. We're not going to do the character map, but when I painted that rooster, the question in the chat was, do we have a rooster character running around Fidsville? So what kind of a rooster? We're going to add him to our list. Do I have it out here? I think I do. I want you guys to give me a character map of a rooster to add to our list here. We'll make him number 42. Wicca based. It's a leaf in which they grind. It's organic. It's a spell book is a book of shadows or a book of spells. No, it's a leaf in which they grind organic. I want to go to the rooster. I don't mind reading about the moringa powder. That's interesting. Rhode Island Red. Okay, we got a Rhode Island Red rooster. What's so special about this old bird in Fidsville? We just want to know. We want to know, like, we had like the sad dog with a cast on his leg, and the one-armed sheriff. What's so special about the Rhode Island Red chicken? A leghorn. And white leghorns. Oh, and white leghorns are fairly large. Foghorn leghorn. Foghorn leghorn. I don't know. I don't know my chickens. I run from them. I take the broom. He's a rooster at large. Oh, what is he at large for? Oh, okay. We're just going to call him a rooster at large. And when we do the character map, we might not put this on random. We might just do that in one of our Friday night chats. Just pick him and find out why he's at large. But don't tell me now. He's causing havoc. That's as far as I'm going with the rooster tonight, because I want to go to the Latin word, and then we'll probably call it a night. Let's go to my word section here. I'm trying to keep my... Oh, I could do ATCs tonight. I'm kind of tired tonight, though. Let's do... See, we did octo. The last time we did a Latin word, we did octo. And I'm going to do another word here, a Latin, and I picked it out, and it's not a word. It is... What did I pick? Tempus fugit. Time flies. Time flies. And I'm probably mispronouncing it. I'm not saying I'm brilliant at pronouncing Latin words. That would fall to our friendly Ann Lar. It's tempus. I'm going to write it down here. Tempus, TEMPUSFUGIT. And it means time flies. Time flies in Phibbsville when you're having fun. Time flies. So I guess maybe what we'll do, since this is just telling us a familiar phrase that came from Latin, what we'll do is probably do a little list here. I'm not going to do a big list, but let's do a list of how and when time flies for us. And of course, I know some of the things. Holly says, you're not the brightest crayon in the box. Are you talking about me, Holly? Oh, that's cute, Holly. Time flies when you're streaming. Yes. Time flies when. We'll put great big when here. And we'll put 3 dots. I'm going to kind of write small. When you are streaming. It's kind of nice to know the Latin words, you know, because time flies. You know, that's a familiar phrase to most of us. Time flies. The weekend flies by. Yeah, the weekend flies by, and you have to go back to work on Monday. When children grow up. Yeah. Mina says, I know, Becky, but I got a soft spot for Rhode Island Reds. I think chickens were the first bird to be truly domesticated, hundreds of varieties. No, Mary, something Foghorn Leghorn would say in a southern accent. Oh, okay, Holly. Time flies when you're sleeping. It really does. I took a nap after the stream, after Barb's stream, and before I knew it, well, I did a little research on Richard Wagner and kind of worked out this time chart, but before I knew it, it was time to stream again. Let's see, when you are sleeping, time flies on daylight savings day, on daylight savings. When you stay busy. When you have grandchildren. When you have the grandchildren. When you stay busy, I got that. When you are in love. Aw, Allie. Renee says, aw, Allie. Did I miss any? I think I got them all. When children grow up, the weekend. Wet your lips. Time flies when you're watching Mary. Well, when you're watching any of the streamers, like, my goodness, I'm going to put when you're watching YouTube. I was watching Barb Owen this afternoon, and before I knew it, she was done. Latin vocabulary time, Allie says. They're talking about roosters up there. When you watch, when you get divorced, when you finally get divorced. We'll put it in there. Let's see, what did I miss? When you're watching a movie, when you're having fun. Wait a minute. When you marry your best friend, life goes by quickly. When you marry your best friend, Aunt Beck would know. I miss you and Scott. When you marry your best friend, are you at home in Greenville this weekend? Then, see, I'm going to lose track of where you are. What weekends you go to Columbus and weekends you stay. You're chatting tonight, Aunt Beck. So I'm just guessing that you're in Greenville this weekend when you're having fun. When you get divorced, I got that. When watching a movie. Renee says she's going to tear up. Check Big Family Homestead in YouTube for moringa. Petals is telling Aunt Beck. When you are with people you haven't seen in years. When with people, because you're doing all that catching up, seen in years. So you're just shooting the memories. When on vacation, that's a good one, Sharon. Hi, Sharon. Welcome, welcome. When on vacation, you gotta go back to work. You're in Hawaii one day and in Nebraska the next, in Bibbsville the next. When it's time for surgery, like, do we have to do it now? Can't we put it off a little bit more? When singing your favorite music, when singing favorite music, you're going to the house tomorrow. Okay. Well, take care of yourself when you're drinking alcohol. Allie, when drinking, don't drink too much, Allie. When trying to get an appointment on time, when trying to get to an appointment, when trying to get to an appointment on time. And things are just, time is flying by and you have so much you're trying to get done. When it's New Year's again, when you're enjoying a carnival ride. I haven't been to a carnival in years. Well, I was to the state fair, though. I guess you could kind of call that a carnival, but I didn't do any rides. When you're older in age. Yes, Lucia, that's true. If you guys ever watch Casey Neistat, he did a video on why it feels like time flies more when you're old. And he was drawing out a chart that said, when you're young, you have 24 hours in the day. When you're old, and you have, so many days between when you're born and when you die. And when you're old, say well, he used 40. He called 40 old. And you're born and you die. And but when you're young, you're right here. Maybe you're at age 10. And you've got all this time left to live between 10 and age 10 and when you're going to die. But when you're older and you've lived to age 40, we'll call this 24, we'll call it 10. You've already lived a good, probably maybe not quite half of your life. Well, maybe it just depends if you live to age 80. So you say you've already lived half of your life. Here you've only lived 10% of your life. He was saying that's why it seems like time flies. And so you've only got this much time left. And here you've got all this time left. Description of why time flies when you get old. When older. Yeah, my dad used to say that too, Aunt Beck. How did I get to be this old? Don't drink the water. Getting close to retirement, Cheryl says. Time flies when you're having anything good. When anything good is happening. Isn't that true? Because you want it to keep going. And it eventually ends too quick. It ends too quick. Time flies when you're in a time machine. When was the last time you were in a time machine, Allie Kay? Oh, I love it. Aunt Beck says, you think about time running out when you were older. And when you're young, you just think about how ancient you will be when you are 30. Isn't that true? Isn't that the truth? My grandfather lived to be 103, Holly says. That's cool. I think my grandparents died in their 80s. My mother died in her 80s, and my dad was 79. He was almost 80. So if I die in 20 some years, I'll say my goodbyes. I hope to be still streaming in 20 years. Hi, Arlene. Welcome, welcome. She's just dropping in to say hi. All the women in my mother's family lived into their upper 80s, Lucia says. I don't know. I wonder how old my grandmother was on my dad's side. I was in high school. I'd have to look it up. I could probably research that. My gran was 3 months shy of 100, Tanya. Hi, Tanya. Welcome, welcome. 3 months shy of 100. Can you imagine being 100 years old? I just can't even. I can hardly realize that how old I am now. I don't feel as old as I am. And I think that's maybe a symptom of our culture. We have it pretty good here in the States. 100 years ago, if you were as old as some of us are in here tonight, we would be feeling the pain from all the work that we had to do. Like, I think my mother had it a lot harder than I do. She didn't have an automatic washing machine. She had a wringer type washing machine, and she had to hang all the clothes out. She didn't have a dryer. Well, she had a dryer when she was older. But when in her 30s, 40s, and 50s, I know she didn't have a clothes dryer. She hung things out on the line because I had to help her. So they had a lot of physical work, even my mother and dad, that we don't have. And I think that's one reason why we feel younger, because we don't have all that physical exertion. We have mental exertion, which makes us tired. You're not an adult yet, Tanya. Don't tell the FTC, man. You're just young at heart, Tanya. That was the other thing I was thinking about, the COPA laws. What are they going to do for videos for the people that are young at heart? Or if you do a video, like I did a video, and I left it as it was, but I was talking to my younger self. I was talking to my inner child. If I say inner child, are they going to zap me because I say inner child? I don't know. We'll find out. I should go look up that video and see if YouTube's caught it. YouTube caught the. Now, I'm not complaining. I'm just telling you. YouTube um, must have did a sweep of my channel because I was going through some of my videos, like just cleaning up my channel. And I got to that video where I made that little, I bought that basket that at Goodwill and I collaged napkins in there and I pasted pumpkins on it and I called it a candy dish to pass out Halloween candy. And they made that a for children video because I know I didn't put it as a children's video. And I'm going, good grief. No child would be interested in that. That was certainly wasn't directed toward children. Add the word candy dish in it. So I don't know what they're going to do with inner child. The one time they talked about 2050, I said, me dead. Oh, you won't be dead in 2050. That's not very long. That's only 30 years from now. Allie Kay? Or that was Cheryl who said that. Oh, you might be there. Well, there you go, Tanya. Young forever. Yes, you are. And right now I'm going a bit crazy because I can't find something I know I have and it's here somewhere. I do that all the time, Tanya. I go, how can I lose things in 2 feet of space when I haven't moved? I was doing fussy cutting the other day. I was fussy cutting magazines using these smaller scissors that I like to use. And I was called to supper. And I swear, I can't find those scissors now. And they probably fell down into the crevice of my recliner. But, you know, you just go, I didn't move. I didn't move and they're gone. See, a lot of people tell me I don't look my age. I tell them I moisturize. That's funny, Lucia. I was reading an ad in one of those magazines. I think it was a Martha Stewart magazine. And not Neutrogena, what is it? Noxzema? Is it Noxzema has an age cream out now, a facial cream that you can put on that's supposed to reduce the wrinkles. I mean, Noxzema has always been apply Noxzema every night, but this has a special, probably, what do they call that? The word with the R. Oh, can't remember. Because I don't use it. Who knows? You just said it now, Allie Kay says. Lucia, I do not wear makeup. It helps a lot. Yeah, I don't wear makeup either. I did when I was a little younger when I worked, but I didn't wear heavy makeup because I didn't like it on my face. I felt like I was suffocating. And I had my ears pierced probably when I was about 23, when I had my ears pierced, because my friend who did haircuts and she was a beautician, she told me I needed to pierce my ears. And so I did. Now they're probably all grown shut because I never wear pierced earrings anymore. I play with jewelry too much. Arlene says, my great-grandmother was born in 1901 and died in 1991. I love to listen to her tell us about her life and all the changes she lived to see, like TVs, computers, and cell phones. And just think, Arlene, you'll be able to tell your grandkids about all the changes you've seen, like the internet and live streaming and all the art friends that you have and Happy Mail and just think, in 20 years from now, will we even have live streaming? What will we have on you? Will YouTube even be around in 20 years? That's something to think about. Inner child is psychology. Thank you, Renee. Thank you. That makes me feel better. I'll say, this is psychology. This isn't a child-directed video. This is a psychological rehash. Oh. Lucky you, Lucia. A teenager boy thought I was my hubby's mother. Aw. She just had to adjust it so buttons would not get crunch, Damina said. Cheryl retracted a message. Tanya says, or Lucia says, I have freckles, so I cover them only, cover up only. I have a grandmother hair. I do too, Tanya. I'm letting all that color grow out of my hair, and I feel better already. I'm not that far away from getting a nice haircut. I could probably do it now, but I think I'm going to let it grow a couple more inches, and then I'm going to go get a really nice haircut. And I'm going to be my grandmother. I think people treat you different. You know, here in the Midwest, they treat you nice. They call me honey. And I went to Walmart the other day and I wanted some Javalia coffee, and I like the 20-ounce package because it's cheaper at Walmart. But I don't know if it was the only one left. The one that I could see was on the top shelf and way toward the back, and I'm pretty tall. And I didn't want to risk climbing on the bottom shelf to reach and get it. And so there was no clerk around. But there was a guy in the aisle, and I said, would you please, and he was shorter than me. I said, would you please get me that Javalia coffee? And he reached up for the 8-ounce, and I said, no, the one way back there. And he climbed on the bottom shelf, and he got it for me. But, but he was really nice to me because I had gray hair. I was playing like a little old lady, and I can't reach that coffee. Would you please get it for me? Mary, too, says, I was in a daze for months the year I turned 60. Just couldn't believe it. I kept saying 60, 50. Could that be right? And then I would do the math to make sure it was right. I think when I turned, I think I was kind of the same way when I was like 45 and 50. You start going, geez, am I that old? And you don't feel that old on the inside. Even now, I don't feel my age. I feel like I may be in my early 40s. That's how I feel inside. I don't feel 20. But I feel like I'm probably in my early 40s. 1901. Wow, Cheryl says. Tanya says, Lucia, so do I, but I let him look at him. Well, Holly, you're youthful. My grandparents still have an oil lamp. Not for use, but they pull it out every now and then. Turn off the lights and show the grandkids. And you can't go, even here in Nebraska, and we're way out in the boondocks. I mean, I'm driving through cornfields, country roads, and they have road signs on them, like 1280 Street or whatever, and I'm going, really? Out here in the country, you're naming the streets? I can understand Road K or Highway 32, but, you're way out in the boondocks where there's nothing but cornfields, and they're still naming the street signs. What's with that? And the lights, the electric lights in the towns, when it's cloudy, you can't see them, but you go out here in Nebraska on a nice summer night, or even on a really cold winter night when the sky is crisp and clear, and you see all the stars, and you look around. I can look east and see town lights, that town that's 8 miles east. I can look south and see the town south. I can look north. I mean, you have to get out where there are no trees, but there are a lot of no tree fields out in Nebraska, and you can see all around. And then you look up and you see all the stars. And boy, talk about feeling small. We don't have mountains, but we can see for miles and miles and miles out here on a clear winter night. It's beautiful. Tanya says, his studio's such a mess. Mine too, Tanya. That's kind of one of my goals for tomorrow is get in here, and I'm going to pick up all the stuff off of my floor. I mean, I don't have it scattered on my floor now. I just have stacks and piles of stuff that so I'm going to pick it up and sort it out, and if I have to move it out of the room I will, and then I'm going to kind of straighten up my bookshelves and make space for stuff I really need. And that's what I need to do now. I just need a place for stuff. Renee says that she refuses to age anymore. You're like Peter Pan, Renee. I'm not never gonna grow up, not never. Jeff's dad lost his brand new phone for a week after losing the old one and having to get a new one. I found it under the couch. That's like my scissors. I'll bet you if I move that recliner and take off the top, I'll bet you I'll find my scissors. You know, the recliner, you can take the backs off of them. Deborah says she has some oil lamps and she's used them. That knife dug deep in my head that day. Ooh, Holly. Allie K says, my grandfather grew up on a farm. Didn't get electricity until her was 8 years old. They had it in the city, but no lines out to the country. You hope that I'm streaming in 20 years. I hope you still listen to me, Cheryl. Retinol, yes. I'm way back behind you guys, but I'm reading chat. I was talking about Noxzema and what they put in it to reduce the wrinkles, and Cheryl said retinol, and that was the word I was thinking of. Your scissors went into that dimension that snags sucks, so you only with unmatched ones. I think so, Mina. It went into the twilight zone for sure. Arlene says, I have oil lamps. I use them for fairly common power outages. You know, I'm going to have to tell my brother, because we keep a flashlight in on our kitchen counter for power outages and stuff like that. And I went to use it the other day to shine behind the desk over here, and it was batteries are run out. You're going to have to remind him. You just reminded me, Arlene. And Beck says, I had my ears double pierced in the 80s. Mine are closed, all 4 holes. I didn't have double piercing, but that was really popular back then, wasn't it? And they would actually pierce them, not only double, sometimes they'd put piercing up on I think that would hurt, up on the top of the earlobe, not of the earlobe, but on top of the ear, they would, maybe it wouldn't hurt that bad, but I don't know. When she cut out that little gun, are you going to shoot me? Computers, yeah. Okay, going back to honey. We'll talk to you later. Bye, Tanya. I'll see you on Sunday, Tanya. River City says, I was 17 when we got a house phone. We were behind. Yeah, I was. My parents did not have a phone even when I went to the university. I had to call my neighbor lady and have her relay a message. Like they wouldn't. I didn't have a car my first year down at the university because I was coming from a small town up into the big city of Lincoln. Couldn't afford a car anyway. So I took the bus, and when I wanted to come home, you have to think this was years ago. They still had buses. And I took the bus to go to college, but when I wanted to come home, I'd have to call my neighbor and say, tell my mom to meet me over at the bus station at, such and such a time. And the town was like, 15 miles away from where my parents lived. And I always worried that my parents wouldn't get the message and I'd be stranded. That never happened. Renee says, I don't really wear makeup anymore, and if I do, it's stuff I make myself. I have to tell you, do you know those little wedgie sponges that you get at, you're lucky if you find them now, but these that we use for I found some at the Dollar Tree when I was there, and so I got a couple packages, You guys have all been sending to me some, but I can't find them at Dollar General anymore, but I found a couple at Dollar Tree. And so I grabbed them. Well, I left one or two on the, I didn't grab them all. And I was checking out, and a young lady drove up behind me, and she looked into my cart and she said, "Where did you get those little sponges?" And so I told her what aisle they were on. But I'm going, she probably really wants those for makeup because she was a young lady and had, and I go, oh my, I said, oh, I like these so much better than the round ones. They work so much better. And she says, I agree. And I didn't tell her that I use them for paint. We need to stop crying, Holly says. Oh no, Aunt Beck. Kitty farts. Oh dear. Just think, when Mama was a baby, the Model T hadn't been invented yet. Oh, and speaking of that, the town where my parents lived, where both my mom and my dad lived before they passed away, was a little town called Angus. And way back when that town had 500 people in it, they had a car manufacturer, a car place that built what they call, I think they called them the full cars. I was fussy cutting out of the Nebraska Life magazine, and I was reading an article about it. And he was making those cars before Ford had the assembly line. Now, I think Ford probably had his Ford out at that time. But he didn't have the assembly line. Ford didn't. And they had a picture of the building in the magazine, and I go, wow, I used to walk by that building. It was a little town with hardly no people when I lived there, but way back in the early days, they used to have a car manufacturing place, and that building was still standing, and I used to walk by it when I went for walks. Being raised by my grandmother's always made me feel out of time. And much wiser, Aunt Beck. Much wiser. My parents were old enough to be my grandparents, so I get that, Becky. Yeah, my parents had us late in life. My mother was married when she was, 36? She had me when she was 30. She might have been a little bit younger. 30. She was in her 30s because she had my oldest sister and then my brother, and there were 4 years between me and my brother, and she was 37 when she had me. So she must have been married when she was 30. Streets need names. We've already named all our streets. Need addresses to get Happy Mail. Are we talking about Phibbsville? Streets, we've already named Phibbsville streets, if that's what you guys are saying. When we drove to the Great Lakes for Greg's PIR training, we were amazed at the flatland in Indiana. Oh, if you're amazed at the flatland in Indiana, well, I guess in central Indiana is similar to Nebraska. It's really flat out here in Nebraska, I have to tell you, Aunt Beck. And Kansas is pretty flat. Now, northern Nebraska it's sandhill country, and they have a lot of gullies and farmland that you can't farm. I mean, land that you can't farm. It's all ranch country. So it's not so flat, but it's flat around here. One of the fun things, Mary 2 says, I remember about my youngest, 36 now. I found her sobbing as a 4-year-old. When I asked her why in the world she was crying, she said, Mommy, I just want to stay little. Oh, oh. You probably said, I want you to stay little too. Don't grow up. Put a post-it note, Mary. Put a post-it note, Mary. Oh my God, I went to I don't know what you want to put on a post-it note. I just stuck my bone folder into yes paste. At least you didn't put it in your coffee or tea or whatever. Hi, Lala Gamma. How are you doing? How's your granddaughter? Have they all asked you and I'm way behind? Welcome, Lala Gamma. Oh, let's go down here. Let's catch up with you guys. Renee does not wear shoes either, even in the winter. She's an odd fellow fibian. Indoor plumbing is a great thing. I hated the outhouse. Me too. Ew. Lala Gamma, have they asked you how your granddaughter's doing? And Beck says, I despise shoes, but the doctor said I should be wearing them all the time. With diabetes, you lose the feeling in your feet and can get foot injuries. I still lose my shoes as soon as I walk in. You said streets in the country. Oh, well, I can't. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I was saying way out in the country here, Nebraska, in the farm fields now. I'm driving around. They're cornfields, and they still have street signs on them. And going way out in the country, really. And she was saying they need them so you can get your mail. That could be a reason why they have them. That's a good point. We used to have Rural Route 1, Rural Route 2, box, 86 or whatever. And they'd go by names, the mailman knew where you lived out in the country. That was his responsibility. Cheryl says, Becky, it's so flat in Nebraska, you wish for a hill. That's funny, Cheryl. Oh, Lala Gamma says she's better now. Oh, I'm so glad. Put a Post-it note. Get batteries, please. Oh, okay. Well, you know what? I have these little Post-it notes. I have them. They're sticky notes. Where did I get these? I don't know where I got these. Sticky Notes Cube. I paid they were $1. Target. I don't shop at Carbit. I must have got these in Happy Mail because we don't have Target in our area. So somebody must have sent me these in Happy Mail. So Cheryl is telling me to get batteries for flashlight on a Post-it note. Get flashlight batteries and take it out in the kitchen and put it on my brother's placemat. Get flash FLASH. Oh, I really spelled that wrong. LIGH. He'll go, what is this? Flashlight batteries. He'll know. That's really a good idea because I'll be using these now. Let's keep them out. Put them over here. I've been meaning to do that. We'll put it right there. Thank you, Cheryl. Lala Gamma says her granddaughter's much better. We're really glad she's okay. Old streets have names of the graves that they used to be there. Really? Really, Lala Gamma? That's interesting. Oh, the grooves. Oh, I thought you said the graves. I'm going to say that's interesting. Well, that is kind of interesting because it was my cousin who's a couple years older than me. When I was out in Colorado in the mid-'80s, he was telling how they were working on a construction crew and they were moving. I don't know if they were building a housing development or what, but they ran into graves and they had to stop and identify. Street names are better for 911, Renee is saying. That's a good point, too. That is a good point. Target, they have up logo. Oh, well, this said Target, distributed by Target on the back of this. Oh, see, that's an up logo. sticky notes cube. It says distributed by Target, Minneapolis, Minnesota, 2015. Somebody must have sent this to me in Happy Mail because we don't have a Target. Walmart also sells oil lamps and lamp oil. Lalagramma says, hi, Missy. Arlene says, Wyoming has CR numbers, country road numbers. That could be what this, no, I think they're more like street numbers. I think it's like a number in a street. Like way out in the country, it's like 12404 or something like that, because it's way out in the country. I mean, they're cornfields. I should go take a picture. You know, there are parts of Nebraska, even around this where I live, after you get out of this little town and you drive out like 3 or 4 miles out of town and you're just way out in the fields. You're way out in the fields. You have to be careful when you come to a corner because there could be somebody coming from the other way. Oh, Aunt Beth, good night. Have a great weekend. Oh, she's going to do a video, freestanding video. Okay, Becky, we're looking forward to it. Good night. Mary 2 says, you girls have me so distracted. I've been frustrated trying to get my bottom thread up. I just realized I didn't put up a full one. Oh, no, Mary 2. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. Well, you know what? It's getting kind of late here. It's 10:30, but I'm kind of tired. And I'm going to spend some time this weekend cleaning in this room. The rug really needs to be vacuumed. And I got this plastic mat that I'm going to take out and throw away. It's too late to sew anyway, Holly says. Yeah, Arlene. In like Wyoming and Montana, she said in their bigger states, there are more areas with no residents than there are towns, but there still has to be roads. Yeah. So what did we do tonight? We told the story of Phibbsville, of Frederick's great grandfather, and how he might all of a sudden be the owner of the TheMeriAtelier building. And so that's kind of going to be up in the air. We might have a family feud coming. We did one of Tanya's pages here, and I opened those cards. We did the time flies list here. Put that out. Oops, let's put this here. Let's move I kind of like to get this all set up. I'm not going to do a thumbnail with this. I used my thumbnail with the welcome deal that Janet did on Friday night. But I like to kind of review what I did. So this is Tanya's page. Let's just put these in. Oh, let's put it behind this pocket there, like this. And let's move that down. And what else? What else did we do? I was going to do some doodling tonight, but I'm kind of tired. I'm kind of wore out. I streamed this morning. And we worked in the angel book, and I opened those cards. What did I do with those cards? Those cards are cool. These cards are cool. I'm going to use these in the angel book. These were wedding invitations or shower invitations. And I think they'll make a really cool die cut in that angel book. And I'll just have to cut this center part out and move them down. And then I'll put a dark line in between. I'll use these. And they look for 50 cents when they're $10. I mean, not at Goodwill. I got a Hobby Lobby. They were 49 cents for a package of 10, and the original price was $10, $9.99. So I am happy about that. So I opened those and showed those. That's about all I did tonight. But that's enough. I'm going to clean racers tomorrow, get them all ready to mail, get Suzanne's package ready to mail. Lala Gamma says, I was tired and fell asleep real early at 8 p.m. our time. Woke up at 11 p.m. our time. Well, we thank you for coming in, Lala. And I'm so glad that your granddaughter is doing better. Car accidents can be very upsetting. So you all have a really good weekend. And tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific time, Lucia McGill is going to stream on her channel, Lucia McGill. And at 4 p.m. Central Time, Sharon Marlowe. And probably at 6 p.m., well, not 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Beth Schuler will stream tomorrow. Sunday, Tanya McGuire streams at 12 noon Central. I'll probably stream again on Monday morning, early in the morning. If I'm not there on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I decided not to stream. Those are kind of optional for me. And then Lisa Conway streams on Monday night at I thought I saw somebody move out there at 7 p.m. Central, Monday night at 7 p.m. So have a really good weekend, everybody. Do some art. If you have bad weather, stay inside and drink cocoa or coffee or bake cookies or do art. Bye, everybody. Oh, boy, I'm frozen. Is everybody else frozen? No, I'm frozen there. I don't know why I'm frozen. Let's see. Let's clear it. Let's see if I'm still frozen. Nope, I'm good now. Not frozen, but chilly. Huh. I noticed that things, I don't know, that could just be my phone too. I'm debating whether I'm going to take it in and have it repaired and pay the $149 for them to paste the back on, or if I'm going to get a new one, a Note 10. I'm debating. So good night, everybody. Have a great weekend. I'll see you in one of the live streams.